Brenda Teague suspected she was probably not the first to mistake Mock for a man, but the chief was still glaring at her with simmering dark eyes.
Again, my apologies, ma'am,
Brenda said.
I'm still trying to get my bearings here. There's a person who claims to have Glen Moody and they tricked me into coming to Texas this evening.
She pulled the fax from her jacket.
This is what they sent me earlier. I wrote down the tail number of the plane I was on, so maybe if you call the FAA and track the...
Mock's hand shot out and snatched the sheet of paper. She stuck it in her pocket without even opening it.
Ms. Teague,
The chief said sharply.
I am running this investigation. Until you start telling me what I want to know, I suggest you not speak unless spoken to.
Mock now spun to Detective Davison.
Daniel Davison,
She said, stepping entirely too close and staring up at him through black eyes.
would you care to tell me what the hell is going on here and how exactly this human hand got on the floor?
The detective was already taking a series of pictures of the area, and had directed another officer to film the scene for evidence.
Yes, ma'am.
He replied.
I'm taking care of it. I have someone dusting for prints as we speak.
He motioned with his head in front of them, and there crouched around the hand were several officers with white gloves on gently powdering the ground around it. The two officers stared at the hand. Davison leaned in and photographed the note. To no one in particular, he said aloud.
It looks like there are some sort of symbols on it.
What kind of symbols?
I don't know, Chief.
He stammered. Mock pushed him aside so she could see it better and shot him a disdainful look in the process. Davison wilted under her gaze, but his voice remained confident.
What I meant to say is that I don't know, yet. I am going to figure it out.
Davison felt a little skeptical, however. Anyone clever enough to walk through this security checkpoint with a human hand is probably clever enough not to leave fingerprints or any other evidence behind that they didn't want someone to find. Regardless, he started contacting other agencies in the area to see if anyone had any reports of someone missing a hand. On his way back to the forensics team, Chief Mock pulled him aside.
Remember, I am the one running this investigation.
She said bluntly.
You'll do only what I tell you to. Collect everyone's statements and send them to my office.
Davison stiffened. He wasn't sure how to respond. Mock continued.
This is an issue of national security.
Meanwhile, Brenda was left to watch the proceedings take place. Glen's hand, she wondered, watching their exchange in a daze. National security? Brenda was sensing that her own urgent goal of finding Glen was not the same as this Chief Mock's. She seemed to be on another page entirely. Davison looked puzzled as well.
National security? I don't know.
The last I checked, I am the chief of police, and you are a rookie detective. I already told you what was going to happen, and I suggest you do as I instructed.
Davison nodded and swallowed hard. He knew his only play here if he wanted to keep his job was to agree to all of Mock's demands.
Chief, I'll get the statements together and contact AFIS to confirm who it belongs to.
I'll confirm it,
Brenda said sheepishly, feeling a sickening certainty.
I recognize his ring. And his hand.
Mock turned back to Brenda.
How can you say for sure?
She said dismissively. Brenda stared back.
I've been trying to tell you. I was lured here by someone familiar with ancient customs and traditions. The delivering of a human hand is a very old icon, and it's known as the Hand of the Mysteries.
Davison stood up abruptly. Although this wasn't his investigation, his curiosity persisted.
This thing has a name.
Brenda nodded.
It's one of the most secretive icons of the ancient world.
Mock glared at the two of them. Is nobody going to follow my directions today? She thought to herself. After this was all over, she was going to write a new directive for the agency.
What the hell is it doing in the middle of the GICC?
Mock asked. Brenda wished she would wake up from this nightmare.
Traditionally, ma'am, it was used as an invitation.
An invitation? To what?
Mock demanded. Davison was looking through the pictures he'd taken since arriving. He held the camera up so Brenda could see the screen.
Do you recognize any of these symbols?
Brenda stared intently at the camera's small screen. She continued.
For centuries, the Hand of the Mysteries served as a mystical summons. Basically, it's an invitation to receive secret knowledge, protected wisdom known only to an elite few.
Mock folded her muscular arms and stared at her with jet-black eyes.
For someone who claims they don't know what's going on, you sure seem to know a lot about what's happening.